Yoshi confirmed in a recent announcement there would be a matchmaking change coming to Deadlock here pretty soon, and so I figured why not give my thoughts on all the things I would love to see in a matchmaking update. Hey everyone, this is Connor here at Dead Unlocked, and there's a few different things I want to discuss today, so let's get right into it. All right, and I think the number one thing that I would start with here, and where I think a lot of the discussion has to start with, is just kind of centered around the way that you play Deadlock currently, the way that all people who opt in to accept an invite to play this alpha test game can play it in its current state. There's really just two ways. There's traditional Deadlock, which is the way that most people know to play the game, where you queue in, and then there's Street Brawl. Those to me are the two expressions of queuing in Deadlock right now, and that would be the area that I would think we would see, obviously the most refinement and the biggest changes at kind of a baseline level for this game. I think the place my mind goes where I would kind of start is I would start with adding an unranked way to queue Deadlock right now, because it is interesting that right now, I mean, if you're playing Deadlock, you are playing ranked. I mean, you're being sorted into an MMR, you have a rank next to your name. If you have the setting turned on, it'll even show what the kind of lobby's rank was at the end of the game. Obviously, there's tools like StatLock or different things like that as well to kind of see elo and whatnot. But right now, that is the experience. And that actually is something that I've always kind of struggled with this game. It's probably my least favorite part about Deadlock, is that there really is just a ranked mode to play. A lot of times because I am approaching this game from a very casual perspective. I'm in my 30s. I have a job. I'm not just an unemployed gamer out here. And so a lot of times when I go to play a game of Deadlock, it's to relax, it's to try a new hero. Any number of different things put me in a position where I'm probably compromising the maybe quote unquote optimal competitive integrity of a game of Deadlock, where, it would be optimal for me to always play my best 1, 2, or 3 heroes and to, kind of go build optimal every single time. That's what it feels like the game is currently programmed to do 100% of the time when you're queuing a normal game of Deadlock. And that's just not something that feels super compatible with my experience, and I think probably with the experience of a lot of others. So to me, the number one wish list item for me is just a delineation between ranked and unranked in traditional Deadlock. Now I think we can talk about some elements that would go along with each of those. All right, so we'll start with unranked, because in a lot of ways, I feel like the current experience kind of mirrors what I would imagine unranked to look like. So I actually like the kind of queuing system we have now, where there's different tiers of priority. It's kind of like Deadlock's approach to like a blind flex queue, for example, just to try and use other MMO words that I know. I don't know. And so I think that the unranked mode will look a lot like the current game does as it stands now. There will be some kind of hidden MMR. There'll still be some way to sort games, but it will be, I think, inherently a bit more of a casually kind of lended experience by the way teams are compiled, all those different kinds of things. And then we get to the ranked mode, and this is where I think you'd have to really draw some new lines in the sand for how this game is approached. And this is again part of my problem with the way this could happen is because I think that there needs to be a rank reset. And I think that for ranked to exist, it needs to have some component like a draft or something to allow teams to compile their rosters intentionally, to pick lane duos intentionally, basically to add a lot more of the kind of organizational structure to the way the teams are compiled, built, loaded into the game that feels like it's a little bit void now. Again, this is just one of those things. I genuinely hope that if there is a ranked mode, there are these kinds of things accompanied with it. And there is a rank reset, because the only experience most people have had playing ladder right now are this kind of unorganized experience. A lot of things are left up to chance. So it would be interesting if there's not a rank reset and there's not like the addition of a draft, but there is a ranked mode added. Again, it'll almost just feel antithetical to itself, to where it just doesn't work. So to me, ranked comes alongside naturally structure, team building, all the things I mentioned, in addition to there just being kind of a new placement system and a new way for rank to be determined and sorted. So kind of to recap, because I'm yapping a bit, my ideal world would be essentially a ranked mode with a draft that has like some kind of rank reset along with it to allow players to kind of get ranked in this way of playing Deadlock, not using the old way of playing Deadlock to kind of create a rank for the new way, I guess. It seems obvious. You never know what will be the case. And then unranked, again, you keep a lot of the kind of bones of the queuing experience intact for now, especially because when this matchmaking update comes out, it probably won't be the case yet that the game's in an open beta. I know I talk about it in every video. I'm like, one of the main yappers, open beta yappers. I don't think, open beta is going to be live when this matchmaking update goes live. So in the current alpha state, I think it would just make sense that you would utilize a lot of the bones of the current system and use those for unranked. That does leave Street Brawl, though, worth talking about here. I don't think Street Brawl needs a competitive mode or really needs any adjustments to it. I mean, remove Seraphim Wings because that item is just insane and feels like it ruins more of my games than it enhances. Other than that, I feel like Street Brawl is a great experience, and I think it's meant to be wacky. It's kind of like, again, the whole theme of that mode is RNG, fun. It should be left unranked. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of hidden MMR queuing system along with that. You never know with Valve, but that is something I think would not need a competitive mode. And there are a number of smaller things that I could see coming along with this, you know, just quality of life things with the matchmaking system, with the queuing system, just a lot more, again, just nuance to the way the process works, the way your rank is displayed, clarity with deranking and progressing your rank. Just a lot of quality of life things I think will be on the table. Now, I do think that there is something to be said. We're going to get a matchmaking update here. I think just state of the game wise, a matchmaking update makes a lot of sense. Yoshi talked about it, etc. Then we have the quote itemization update and a large content update coming kind of behind that. And then you can dream beyond that, whatever. I still think that we will get a matchmaking update, but I also think that it will be kind of like an alpha tailored update. Essentially saying that I think that we will get a part 1 of the matchmaking update. This is just my prediction, where we will get probably a lot of the changes that people are talking about, changes that would seem sensible for a game like Deadlock in its current state. But I also don't think that those are going to be kind of finalized and polished changes, quote unquote, until the game, you know, kind of massively releases to more players. At that point, that's where it really feels like something would have to change at a significant level with matchmaking. But those two things kind of feel married. So it's difficult to say, you know, it's a chicken egg situation. Do we get the matchmaking update first that splits queues and would warrant a large player base to do so? Or do we do the thing that's going to give you the large player base and, you know, it's a large content update, it's an open beta, it's a public release, whatever it might be. Again, those two things seem like they would lend to each other quite a bit. So it's difficult to say, in, you know, especially timeline wise, how far apart we should expect those two things to be. In general, though, this is one of those things that I think my take will differ a lot from like an Eternus 6 player or something who are approaching the game as a competitive, you know, thing. Now, granted, any game you play like this is a competitive multiplayer game. I have years of experience in esports and I've been gaming for a long time. I'm very familiar with just like the concept of like, you want to play these games to win. They also are games. And this is why you have kind of delineations in these kinds of games between a ranked and an unranked. Part of this is coming from the fact that I got flamed last night. I was struggling in a game and someone pulled up my stat locker and started flaming me for it. That was crazy. And I was like, this is a wild thing to do in a game that has no choice but to play ranked. And I was playing a character I don't play very much, like was struggling in a game. I still had a lot more damage and better overall stats and contribution than that player. So just coping super hard over here. But in general, again, this whole conversation is so different that I would approach it than an Eternus 6 player. When I go to play this game, I think I am somewhat of a casual. You know, when there is an opportunity to have like, whether it's a solo ranked account or if there's like a third party support that comes in and gives solutions for a better nuanced ranked mode, I will approach that kind of with that in mind. And I will play for rank and I will play for, you know, to be optimal. I'll try my hardest not to throw games, right? But as it currently stands, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm probably going to be out there throwing games. Not intentionally, and I don't really mean it like that, but I'm going to be out there playing new heroes, trying new builds out, having fun with Deadlock, because that genuinely is the position that I am in right now with this game. Now, I'm an Oracle player. Who knows what rank I would be if I tryharded all the time? Who knows what rank I would be if I just like totally said forget about ranked entirely and just played flex heroes all the time as well. So like I said, it's just this. I think the way that matchmaking and the whole ranked discussion, you know, kind of unfolds is purely dependent on how you approach the game, your situation with when you log on to play Deadlock. What are your goals? What are you trying to do? I'm often queuing with friends and just playing to have a good time. And you know, it's just one of those things that, in my opinion, is so different from, I'm sure, a lot of different players out there. But I'm approaching Yap territory, so I'm going to shut it down there. Let me know in the comments what you think we need most in terms of a matchmaking update to Deadlock. I think we can all agree that we certainly need something. We may disagree about kind of the execution or what it looks like, but I think at the end of the day, most people are going to be thankful for something. It's kind of like just throw us a bone here, you know, from the community, because I've said it once and I'll say it so many more times. This game is so rich in so many different elements, and it is so frustrating to see the current state of matchmaking. And I say current state, you know, it feels like this has been the state of matchmaking for a long time, candidly. I guess in the game's entire existence until Street Brawl, it's just been a very simple, basic system to queue. I will be so excited for more different ways to queue, because I really do think it matters. When you combine this big of a player base, you're gonna have players with different interests, different ways they want to approach the game. Very excited for that to be a possibility. But like I said, let me know in the comments what you think. What do we need in terms of a matchmaking update? What are we expecting? Let me know. And as always, from our house to yours, thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time here at Dead Unlocked.